So the commonest reasons why we do elbow arthroscopy are first and foremost tennis elbow. So tennis elbow is a common condition, and in 95% of people it's a condition that gets better naturally over the course of about a year. But there's some unlucky people for whom the symptoms just persist, and in those circumstances, when we failed all other techniques, we would consider an operation, and I like to do the operation through keyhole surgery, so arthroscopic tennis elbow surgery, because you recover very quickly. You'll be home the same day, you can use your arm straight away afterwards, and you make a very quick recovery. It's a good, quick, safe, reliable operation. Other reasons why we might consider performing elbow arthroscopy are if you've got a bit of arthritis in your elbow, and that's causing you pain. So an elbow arthroscopy is really good at relieving pain at mild to moderate severity arthritis of the elbow. It's no good at improving your amount of movement. So if you're a bit stiff before the operation, you'll stay exactly the same degree of stiffness after the operation. But the operation seems to be very reliable at relieving pain. And the third common reason for doing elbow arthroscopy is if you have this condition of locking. And by that I mean if you're going to straighten your elbow out and suddenly it jams and you cannot straighten it. You can bend it okay, but it will not go beyond that point. And maybe you have to wriggle your arm a bit, or maybe you just have to go to bed with your elbow bent, and you'll find next morning it goes straight. So that means there's something floating around inside your elbow that's jammed inside the hinge of the joint. And the elbow arthroscopy is a really reliable and simple technique of looking inside the elbow, finding what we call these loose bodies, and often there's more than one, and retrieving them, and that would cure the symptoms. So in simple terms, an elbow arthroscopy is a look inside the elbow joint using keyhole techniques. So it's done as a day case surgery, in and out on the same day, done on a general anaesthetic, so you're asleep for it. And when you're asleep, we inject a bit of fluid into the elbow just to distend it, and then we make little marks using a pen on the skin to work out exactly where we're going to enter the elbow. And then often through 2, 3, 4, even 5 little cuts, we can put this fine telescope into the elbow, and it gives us a wonderful view of what's actually a very complicated joint with many nooks and crannies that is very difficult to see into, even if you were to do a more traditional open cut operation. You can't, through that technique, you can't see in every nook and cranny, whereas with keyhole surgery we can, and it's extraordinary the kind of view that we can get, and a very magnified view. So it gives us a really good opportunity to have a really careful look inside the elbow, take any samples we might need to, release any tendon that we need to, remove any loose bits or extra spurs of bone, we can grind those down. There's a lot that we can do. And the recovery is surprisingly quick. It's not a terribly painful operation. The wounds are all healed within a matter of 10 days. You'll be moving your arm within a matter of 2 days. So whatever the reason for doing the operation, you're very likely to recover quickly. An arthroscope is an instrument that we use to look inside a joint, any joint, when we have arthroscopes of different sizes depending on which joint we might be looking into. And they're essentially, it looks a bit like the size and shape of a pencil, but made of metal, and we can introduce that into the joint through clearly defined safe portals. And once we've introduced the instrument into the joint, we can then pump fluid into the joint, and that helps distend the joint and separate all the tissues. We then attach a camera to the arthroscope and a light source to the arthroscope, and it generates us a view of the inside of the joint that's demonstrated on a screen in front of me. In fact, in the modern theatres that we have here at Circle Reading, we've got several screens. So I can be looking, my team can be watching, the anaesthetist can be watching, and we can all get a really good view of what it is we're looking at. And it's an expanded view, so magnified, so that we really see things that we wouldn't be able to see through a more traditional open approach. Well, what happens to a patient after elbow arthroscopy depends on the reason for the operation in the first place. But by and large, you'll be going home on the same day, and you'll go home in a huge, great bandage around your arm with a big sling, and you'll think, oh, crikey, I thought I was having something fairly simple. But this is just mostly an absorbent bandage to absorb the fluid that's going to leak back out of the elbow that we originally pumped into the elbow to do the operation. After 24, 48 hours, you or your partner can take all this off, You leave the little sticky dressings on over the wounds, and you roll a tubigrip, which is an gentle elasticated stocking over your elbow, and you'll be allowed to start to move and use your elbow straight away. And that's what we like about arthroscopic elbow surgery, is the ability to get you moving very quickly, because an elbow is a joint that doesn't like to be kept still for very long, has a tendency to go stiff very quickly, and that's something we're keen to avoid. So next steps after elbow arthroscopy would be a follow-up review with me and my team, and we would define when that would be, depending very much on your personal circumstances and what exactly the operation was. But I would have expected, in 99 times out of 100, to have achieved everything we set out to achieve at the surgery. So I wouldn't expect you to require further surgery, unless, for example, we did the operation because you have arthritis. The operation I'm going to do will not cure the arthritis, it will just relieve your symptoms, hopefully for many years. But there's a possibility that you might need it repeating, in which case it's a very safe and repeatable and reliable operation to do again. You may well need to have some physiotherapy in the post-operative period, and again, that's something that we will tell you before you embark on the procedure, and something that will be arranged before you go home on the day of surgery.